Jewish people, we love the Torah because it's a holy and divine document, but also because it's unbelievably relevant and timely all of these thousands of years later. And there's an interesting example in this week's Parsha. So this week's Parsha is Ki Tavo. It's in the 5th book of the Torah, Deuteronomy or Dvarim. And the final book of the Torah is essentially this weeks-long speech from Moses or Moshe, the leader who brought us out of the land of Egypt, reminding them of all the mitzvot, all the commandments that they've received. And these are all the blessings that will befall you if you obey these mitzvot, and these are all the curses that will befall you. So there's blessings and there's curses, and there was one particular curse that was effective to me, and I liked the Chabad.org translation. Let's start with, let's do this in bits. You will become an object of astonishment, an archetype of extraordinary misfortune. The Jewish people, we are the archetype of extraordinary misfortune. Why? I mean, we aren't really, but we are, because the only thing that the Western world knows about the Jewish people is the Holocaust. They don't know that we invented monotheism and like ethics and justice and social welfare and legal codes and human rights and a lot of advancements in culture and science and math and literature and philosophy and all of the contributions that the Jewish people have given to Western civilization. They don't know about any of those things. All they know about is the Holocaust. And I think Holocaust education is important. We should understand what happened in the Holocaust and why it happened. But we're not actually being taught why the Holocaust happened. Did the Holocaust happen? Thousands of years of anti-Semitism, worn into the psyche of everyone. We don't really learn about why, we just learn about what happened. And then afterward, no one really has any interest in learning about Jews. Why? Because in 1948, we were finally returned to our ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, the modern state of Israel, and then we were no longer these pitiful Jews. So we have remained this archetype of extraordinary misfortune, even though we are not. But in the world's eye, we are. You will also be a topic of discussion among all of the peoples to whose lands God will lead you. A topic of discussion. I wish we could stop being a topic of discussion. You turn on the TV and they're talking about Israel. They're not talking about starvation in Sudan or the civil war in Yemen or the genocide of the Uyghurs or oppression by anything, terrible things happening to the Druze in Syria. No one has any interest in these other populations. They cannot stop talking about the Jews. And honestly, it's kind of a relief to see that it's this sort of divinely ordained thing, because it gets to a point where you're just like, what the heck? We have to move on to something else. And I'm not saying that we are being cursed, that we are experiencing these curses. I'm just saying that these things are very relevant. I think personally that we're between the blessings and the curses. We're between them. I'm not saying we're getting all the blessings. I'm not saying we're getting all the curses. The Jewish people have a lot of reckoning to do within ourselves. But I just think it's crazy to open the Torah, this thousands-year-old document, and read these unbelievably relevant things to us here in the year 2025. There's positive things in this parsha too. One of the positive things that feels relevant to today is that one of the blessings is God will cause your enemies who rise up against you to be beaten by you. They will attack you from one direction, but they will flee from you in 7 directions. And then of course they do the opposite. There's the opposite with the curse, that your enemy will rise up from one direction and you will flee from them in 7 directions. But I think what is happening, your enemy fleeing from you in 7 directions, is actually more accurate to this current war that we're experiencing in the Middle East. Because Israel is fighting a war on 7 fronts: Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, and the West Bank. 7 fronts that Israel is fighting on, and we have been successful. We have not been beaten by these 7 fronts, even though tiny little Israel is in a very tough neighborhood, surrounded by people who really do wish for the destruction of the state of Israel, and we are still here. And so when we see these curses, we're like, oh, this is so relevant. But then we see these blessings, and they're also so relevant. So that's why I say we're between the blessings and the curses. I don't know which one we're in. But we have this amazing guidebook, this rule book for life that is the Torah. And we are so lucky as the Jewish people to have this document that is so relevant and timely and prophetic. And I think we should find a lot of solace in that. Shabbat Shalom.